It was a rough one tonight for the Utah Hockey Club as they lost 1-0 to the Boston Bruins. On the outside, it doesn't sound that bad to lose 1-0, but, well, your head coach calls you out after the loss, even the talk in the locker room after the loss, not good. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about this first game of a 4-game Eastern Road swing. All that and more coming your way here on the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast.
You are Locked On Utah Hockey Club, your daily podcast on the Utah Hockey Club, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone. Tom Callahan here with you. Robin Leonio's got the night off. Thanks for joining me. Before we get too far into this, because it's going to get, I don't want to say depressing, but it's a bit of a reality check here. But we said we were going to do this from time to time when we needed it. So Archie Cam, there's our buddy Archie. Aw. All right. Feel better about that. If you're just listening to the show, just go and look up Archie, the Utah Hockey Club service dog, and show yourself a picture of Archie. You will feel better. So Archie's adorable. Yes. All right. So that helps lighten the mood a little bit here for the opening. This show is brought to you in part by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Well, as I mentioned, Robin's got the night off and probably just as well. This is kind of an interesting one. We're going to hear from both Nick Schmaltz and head coach Andre Tourigny. There's a lot of things that happened in this game. There are a lot of things that didn't happen in this game. Utah Hockey Club didn't get over the 10-shot barrier until half a hockey game had passed. So, number one, that's not a great way to win on the road. Number two, and this is a bright spot, Karel Vejmelka played out of his mind, was great. And, in fact, I think they absolutely wasted a great effort from him tonight. But I tell you about the shots on goal being low. The team is in the box all the time in this one once again, so no big surprise. We're used to hearing that. So nothing is changing. They weren't winning the battles in the corners. Really, things didn't pick up for Utah until the third period. And when they did, it got a little better. It was too little too late. They did have some good scoring chances, weren't able to capitalize. But if you're doing that for 60 minutes of hockey, we're probably talking about a different outcome. But again, if you're doing it for part of a period, you don't pick it up till the third. That's where it causes your head coach to come out and call you out and say that you're not playing with passion. You're not playing with the speed that he knows you have. And I mean, I actually didn't count it. We're going to hear from Andre Tourigny here in just a minute. I didn't count the number of times he said passion in this interview, but maybe you can do a running count. But let's go ahead and hear from him because it's number one, which is not customary. He didn't talk for very long tonight. And I think the frustration's palpable. And on top of that, it's, how long can you say the same thing until it starts turning into an excuse or it's falling on deaf ears or you need to shake things up in a big way? Is it leadership wise? Is it lineup wise? You're not getting enough. I talked in one of the previous episodes about Nick Bjugstad being the heart and soul of this team right now, going out there. And I love seeing Bjugstad out there, but you shouldn't have to get, and this is the other thing. They got 2 fights in the game, which clearly were meant to do something, spark something for Utah. And the response was muted at best in the shifts immediately after. Did nothing for the heartbeat of this team. It just wasn't there in this game. And it's frustrating. It's disappointing. If you're a fan of this team, you're wanting to know where that is right now. I don't have answers for you. And I'm kind of afraid that Andre doesn't have any answers right now. So I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and listen to what he has to say. And then we'll come right back and we'll talk a little bit more about his remarks.
What did you see from your team not being able to really establish the game you guys had anticipated tonight?
Well, I think give them credit on the other side. They played well, but we went in the box way too much. If you look at the game in the first period, we had good momentum, create good offense, and then we started to get in the box way too much, and that cost us the momentum and cost the momentum of certain player as well. But that's not an excuse. We should have been better offensively at sporting the puck here, at putting speed around them. We're a fast team, and if we don't create speed around the puck and around their defensemen, it's get easy to shut down. So you can see in the third period when we start to win battles, put speed, attack with a lot of passion. Well, we create offense, and again, the team was defending with desperation. It's not enough, but I think we need to learn from it and make sure we're in a hurry. We're learning.
Does it feel concerning when the lines switch, power play units switch, and you kind of don't get the offensive response that you were hoping for?
Yeah, you must not forget that's one of the best defensive team in the league. So it's not like if it was a piece of cake and we should have run them over. Having that said, I didn't like the urgency and the way the speed around the puck. Like I said, I think the guys has to realize if we want to score a goal, we need to get in the dirty area. We need to get there with passion, not just get there. Get there with burning desire to score goals.
Is that urgency and passion you talk about, is that learned? How does your team kind of find that in their game?
Well, and they will have to learn, because that's, we need to be better than that offensively. Now we're defending at an elite level. We're defending in top 10 in the NHL. Why? That team is built on talent and skill and speed. There's no reason for us to not create offense. We need to be stronger mentally. We need to be stronger on puck. We need to be stronger around the net. We need to want to score with passion and with drive.
Schmaltz said that the guys are gripping the sticks a little too tight right now. How do you get them out of their heads?
But that's the problem. That's what they're thinking about. I think that's enough. I think at some point they're big boy. They're in NHL. We need to have more passion on our offense.
Okay, that's head coach Andre Tourigny. Talking about, number one, the discipline, staying out of the penalty box. You get in penalty trouble. You're running around killing penalties. You're chasing the game. And again, a tremendous effort from your goaltender tonight. I have to say, previous to this year, when we were talking about goaltending, I had a couple of points that I made in one of the preseason episodes. And you can go back there and pull it up. But I wondered a couple of things. And I got roasted on these points I made about the goaltenders. But number one, I wanted to see Connor Ingram take the next step forward. And I said he was not a top 10 NHL goaltender. I said he was not approaching that elite or even best of the league status. He's not in the conversation last year. And a couple of people roasted me for that. I said, okay, great. Well, what I'm saying is I want to see him get there. Okay. I pull for this team just as much as you do. I cover these guys. It's a lot more fun when they're winning, right? We can agree with that. But I wanted to see Ingram take the next step. His numbers have not taken the next step. His numbers are 60th in goals against and save percentage. No, not good enough. Not good enough for Connor Ingram. You get some good periods. You get some spectacular saves, just no consistency. And we can talk about the defense being a part of the reason for this. However, Vejmelka's numbers have been pretty good. 915-ish save percentage, kind of fluctuates up and down. It'll probably go up after tonight's game and the effort he put in. But Veg, one of the things that he's had or not had, more accurately, is run support. The goals have not been there. He puts out just a spectacular effort. But this is the fourth time now that he's been in net and they've been shut out. That's hard. Because as a goalie, you feel like you really... And tonight he gave them a chance to win. He gave them big saves. He gave them all the saves that he possibly could. Had a very good game. And in his contract year, this is another point I want to go back to before I dive further into this. In his contract year, I said, hey, what's he going to be like this year? What are we going to see out of Edgy this year? Is he going to be a goalie who knows he's in the last year of his deal? He's in his late 20s. Now's his time to shine. If not with Utah, maybe somewhere else, playing for a deal somewhere else. He's really been impressive. If I were a team in need of a goaltender right now, maybe a 1B, I'd be looking at him. And maybe you hedge your bets that he could be 1B to an aging starter. And maybe in a couple of years evolve into your 1A. put him in the pipeline and see what happens. That's kind of the season he's had so far. Now, look, it's only November. It's late November, but it's November. Small sample size, motivated player in a contract year, but he really has been the better of the two, and he has played very well. So again, tonight he gives you a chance to win, and that's what you can ask your goaltender, especially when they're giving up second opportunities, third opportunities, grade A, point blank chances, right in the red zone, between the hash marks, one timers. There was a moment on the power play. I tell you about these naps, right? There's a moment on the power play, Boston was on the power play. Let's be clear here. Utah is shorthanded. Boston brings it in. I want to say it was about halfway through the second period, and I just happened to look up. I was watching players on the far side of the ice because one of the things that I carry with me, and this is a good thing for you if you're new to watching the game. One of the most important things you can do is anticipate the puck, but the second most important thing you can do is watch everybody else. If you lose the puck in the defensive zone and the puck is in the corner and you can't see it, and I know with some of the restrictive use seats at Delta Center, this is an issue, right? If you lose sight of the puck, look at the goalie, because if the goalie's lost sight of the puck, we're all in trouble. But if you can't find it, the goaltender generally knows where it is. So that's one little trick for you. Another trick is when players are attacking or moving into a zone or what have you, check the rest of the lineup. Now, I played goaltender growing up. And so whenever I would come out to challenge as the rush came through center ice, I came out to challenge in the direction of the puck carrier. But as I'm coming out, I'm looking across to see who else is attacking. And I want to see what players are coming at me. Who is on the wing? Is it 2? Is it 3? Is there a late trailer? Is someone starting to jump into the play from the bench, meaning they're probably going to be a little faster? They got fresh legs. All those things matter. And so that's what I would register in my head watching the rush come at me. And I do it as a play-by-play guy. Calling games, I'm always actively watching the rest of the play as well, because I can anticipate where the puck's going. And so as you develop that skill, and in the NHL, it's a little easier to anticipate where the puck is going to go because the players are so good, they're so positionally sound, they follow a lot of the same patterns and they can execute those patterns. That's why they play the game at this level. So it makes it a little easier for you, the fan, to be able to watch off puck. But I was watching off puck as the play came in on the right wing side. And I noticed this is a grade A example of a nap. All 4 penalty killers were on that side of the ice. There were 2 Bruins players that went in on the left wing side of the ice. So when the pass got through, which at that point it's all or nothing, you either block that pass or you're hosed. They were hosed. Pass goes across, and Vejmelka makes a great save coming to his right. But it was a wide open shot from the far dot on the power play when you really should have your head on a swivel and be the most defensively responsible, that they again took a nap. So that's an example of what I mean by a nap. It's just that your head goes, you're not thinking, you're not playing the game, you're not positionally sound, and all of a sudden you're giving up chances. Why? Because coverage slips, because you're running around a little bit. That's what a nap is in a nutshell. And they took a couple. So, all right, let's grab a quick refresher here because I want to talk about what Nick Schmaltz had to say. And we're going to hear from Nick and his beating a dead horse comment. We've already talked about Tourigny saying no passion. I love the part where he said, hey, they're big boys. They're big boys. This is the NHL. They're big boys. But clearly the frustration is there. And if the coach is frustrated, can you imagine the guys in the room? Yeah, me too. And all right, here's Archie. All right, okay, I feel better. All right, quick break. All right, and today's show is brought to you in part by Game Time. So the Game Time app, you know I'm a fan. I like the Game Time app quite a bit. They've got their one of their new features is called Game Time Picks. It makes getting tickets to see your live favorite teams play live much easier, and it filters out the fluff. You only see the incredible deals. I love this because, especially if you're unfamiliar with a stadium, if you're going in somewhere you've never been, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, whatever, you're new in town. And I know a lot of websites have interactive seat maps now, but Game Time has the seat view is panoramic, so you can see where you're going to sit before you buy it. Toggle on that all-in pricing, by the way, because once you do that, you see what your out the door price is. That's how I want to roll. I just want to know what I'm paying. Just roll it all in there. Tell me Tom, what are you paying? This is it. X, boom. Okay, perfect. Now I can make my decision. And then you're able to sort through to get those awesome deals with the Game Time picks. You can curate what you want to see, whether it's sports, concerts, comedy, theater, whatever you're into. And, between all of that and the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time, by the way, credit you 110% of the difference, you can't go wrong. So, plus they've got Game Time ticket coverage, which is the most flexible customer service policy in the industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? It's game time. All right. So as we come back here into part two of this, everything going on here, it's kind of interesting to me that the frustration levels growing on the players. There were two fights in the game. And again, I didn't think the response was all that great. Andre Tourigny says there's no passion with this team and is clearly frustrated with the effort all the way around, except for obviously the goaltending was good. But the other thing that I thought was interesting, and we're going to hear from Nick Schmaltz in just a minute here. One of the things he says, though, in the course of this interview is he talks about beating a dead horse. And the dead horse in particular is in the box again. Penalty trouble for this Utah Hockey Club. It is frustrating. It's downright annoying that you have to continue to go through this. And when you spend so much time killing penalties, you're just running around. And of course, Boston's one goal tonight, power play goal. Lindholm from Marchand and Pasternak at 12:41. But Boston's 1 for 7. 1 for 7. What are you doing giving the Bruins 7 power plays? And coach was also frustrated by the Utah power play. They went 0 for 4. And I get that. I understand the frustration with that. The power play, though, I can even give it a pass for this game if the penalty kill doesn't have to be as active. Maybe if it's 4 and 4, this is a different game. 4 chances, 4 and against. It was just bad. So not staying out of the box. Number one to me, when you take, and if we look at the penalties, let's go back through and look at the penalties. Okay. So we had those fighting majors I told you about. Bortuzzo gets into a scrap with Kastelik, 6:17 in. But here are the minors. Krause tripping. McBain high sticking. Cooley slashing. McBain hooking. Cooley holding. Kesselring cross-checking. Stenlund slashing. All of those are penalties that, unless you are preventing someone from directly scoring a goal, like if you're chopping a guy's stick in half because he's about to put it in an open side and you're going to be down a man for 2 minutes as opposed to down a goal, those are all preventable penalties. When you talk about the passion and winning the battles in the corners and moving your feet, playing with energy, playing with speed, this is a fast team. Andre Tourigny says, we're a fast team. We need to play with speed. If they're playing with that speed, they're keeping up. They are not having to reach out and hook and hold. If your stick goes parallel to the ice, they're going to call it. If your arm is parallel, they're going to call it. And it's been that way for years now. And I think that that's what this team is running into. You got to keep moving your feet. You got to keep that engine running. And for whatever reason, it's just low. And it's been low now for a couple of weeks. This is a lull. It's a doldrum. It's a depression that they're in. How do you get out of it? So let's listen to what Nick Schmaltz had to say here, and then we'll come back and talk a little more.
What made it difficult to really get things going and get the rhythm you guys wanted to find tonight?
I think we took way too many penalties. I think it's kind of been a story for a lot of the year. I feel like we take a ton of minors, and I know some penalties are are good penalties, but I think a lot of stick penalties and stuff we can avoid. So when you get in the box a lot, it gives their best players an opportunity to feel the puck, get into the game, and kind of, ruins the flow of the lineup. Guys are sitting for long periods of time, and I think that hurts us. But, it was a one-goal game. Had some looks at the end, just, I don't know, tough right now. We can't find a way.
When penalties are the difference in a game like this, what's the conversation to your team to be accountable with those things?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we're beating a dead horse a little bit on that topic. We're trying to stay out of the box as much as we can, and especially in the offensive zone and stuff, like, just hurts the momentum of the game, and like I said, puts their top guys with the puck in their hands and building confidence. So something we got to address and be better moving forward.
Coach, change lines going into this game again in the third period. Just what do you think it's going to take to kind of get a spark offensively?
Yeah, maybe just see one go in. It's frustrating. I feel like a lot of guys are getting a lot of chances, and myself included. Maybe just gripping the stick a little bit too tight. You got to have a little more poise and confidence with the puck when you get those grade A opportunities. So it's frustrating for sure, but nothing you can do about it. Just got to move forward, and once we see a few go in, I think everyone will become more confident.
As a member of the leadership group, how do you try to inspire the guys after a couple of unfortunate losses?
Yeah, we playing some good teams lately. Obviously they had a lot to prove tonight, a lot going on over there, so we knew they were going to be ready. But we got a lot of more tough games. It's a tough night every night in this league, so you can't really dwell on it. You play every other night or whatever it is, so you got to move on. It's a long year. You just got to bank as many points as you can, and it sucks to lose, but nothing we can do about it now. Move forward and try to get a win next game.
When you talk about needing to see a goal go in, does it become more mental as a team and individually when the drought goes like this?
I think so. It's like I said, it's tough. You feel like you're getting a lot of looks. You're probably pressing a little bit more than you should. When you're scoring, it just kind of comes naturally, and you feel confident in those situations. And when you're not, it's tough. So just got to keep working in practice, building good habits, and eventually something will go in, and hopefully the floodgates will open for everyone.
All right, so there's Schmaltz's comments. Obviously, frustration evident. This is a tough one. It is a tough one. So, you know what? Let's go ahead and take one more. Archie, there he is. Oh, Archie. You know what? I love utilizing that. He's such a good little guy. All right, let's step aside real quick. We'll come right back. We're going to talk a little bit more about this game, and we're going to look ahead to the rest of the road trip. Okay, so this show is also brought to you in part by FanDuel. And you know what? FanDuel is right now, if you're an NFL fan, it's the place for you to be. You can tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, which is America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers, you got to be a new customer, can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, like I'm watching the Bills, I feel like Josh Allen's about to go off. I can check out the latest stats. I can view the live play-by-play and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Okay, so I don't know that there's much more we can take out of this Boston game. I think we really have identified 5 shots in the first period is not enough. 9 in the second was the high water mark, 7 for 21 in this game. Now, Boston only had 5 in the third, but they had 15 in the first. So you can kind of see how the ice was tilted in the opening 20. And if you remember a preview show talking about they need a good start. They need to come out here against a fragile Boston team. Boston's not fixed, by the way. Boston is not fixed. I did not see anything out of the Bruins that would indicate to me. Now, Joe Sacco got his first win, and congratulations, Joe. They're not fixed. That team still has problems. Korpisalo played well enough. I think he only made 1 or 2 big saves, in my opinion. He just wasn't tested. There was a post in there, but both teams hit a post. It just Boston's not fixed. They're not better. That's a lost opportunity at 2 points right there. Utah should have won that game. I'll just say that they 100% should have won that game. Now you're going up against Toronto, Montreal, and I know I said Toronto. I was talking about the Toronto being down 6 forwards. The other night, I kind of love this story, but I don't like the timing of it. They actually had a 7th. Another player got injured during the game, but they still beat Vegas 3-0. And reviewing that game, just they were systematically as sound as you could be. They really just filled in everywhere they needed to be. Everybody stuck to the system. Everybody was on the X's and O's. They executed. They kept Vegas from getting a bunch of scoring chances, and they won. So that was pretty impressive. So the next game coming up here on this road trip is against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's defense has actually been pretty good this year, but the goaltending has been horrible. Absolutely horrible. I was looking at a chart, and I'm not big on fancy stats. However, I was looking at expected goals against versus expected goals saved above average, which is one way of saying how many goals do you think this team is going to give up? And it's a formula that plugs in and, okay, here's your number. And then versus how many extra saves does your goaltender more than you thought he was going to give you? How many goals does he save you versus that goals expected? So the Penguins have had one of the stingiest defenses on the season, and they're what's called a low event defense, meaning there's not a lot of scoring chances. But the goaltending's been abysmal, absolutely terrible. Both of their goaltenders were at the bottom of the expected goals saved. Just terrible. And Tristan Jarry, again, just came back. I feel bad, but just not getting it going. So maybe there's some hope there if they run into a porous Tendy on the weekend. I don't know who they're going to get yet, but whoever Utah sees at PPG Paints Arena, I hope they're able to break through. And Toronto's still a good team. That's a game I thought that they might lose on this trip. Then you go to Montreal, and Montreal, bottom dweller though they may be, is a tough out, especially in their own building where their ghosts are floating around the rafters. So this could have been a chance, and still can be. They can still easily go 2-2 on this trip. I think you win at Pittsburgh, win at Montreal, try to get something out of Toronto. But right now, what the team doesn't have is the energy, and they're not showing that heart, that soul, that focus for whatever reason. I don't know. Like there's some kind of, maybe an energy vampire is traveling on the team plane and they don't know it. The Colin Robinsons of the world. I don't know if they've descended on the Utah Hockey Club, but it's just kind of clear right now because the players hate answering the same questions. Andre Tourigny hates answering the same questions, but the same things keep happening. And, we like to say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting different results. Utah Hockey Club is not scoring goals. They're shorthanded a lot, which tires you out. It runs your best players, your best defensive players down. And then 5-on-5, you're porous. So even when you get a great goaltending performance, which they did against Boston, it goes to waste. So that's frustrating all the way around. And that's something they've got to fix. Hopefully they do. And, I again want to point out that this is not just me up here trying to be negative. This is not me trying to say, oh, this team stinks and I'm done with them. It's over. I am telling you that this is coming out of the mouths of the guys in the locker room. This is coming out of the bench boss. This is a bigger problem. But the question now becomes, beyond all of that, figuring out a fix, whatever. You have the guys you have. In a year where you're probably not making the playoffs, you plenty of time to turn it around. But do you need to shuffle the deck? Do you need to trade a player or two? Do you need to make a move? You might have to. And I don't know that there's an impetus to do it. And honestly, I'm sure Bill Armstrong knows this as well as anybody. You have to be patient. You can't panic, because when you panic, when you feel pressure, then you're probably going to make a worse deal than not. You're probably going to clutch at some straws. You're going to get desperate, put on the rose-colored glasses and say, well, yeah, that guy was good 3 years ago. You don't want someone who was good 3 years ago. You want someone who's good now. And you don't want to reach for that player that you think could be the solution and overpay for them potentially, just because you feel like things are slipping away a bit. So I hope the answer's in the Utah locker room. I really do. But now this is a leadership issue. This is absolutely a leadership issue. And they need to find a way to fire the boys up. I don't know what it is. I mean, 2 fights tonight. I would have expected after one of those 2 fights, and actually I expected it after both, that Utah would come out and try to like put somebody through the glass, be aggressive, pick the energy up. Didn't happen. Didn't happen. And that was surprising to me. So, all right. Well, that's going to be the end of the line for our show here. Again, tough one with the post game, 1-0 loss to the Boston Bruins. But you can catch us online everywhere you get your podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure after you subscribe that you click the bell so you get the notifications of when the new shows drop live each and every time we do the premieres over on YouTube. And we appreciate you following us over there too. Even if you already happen to subscribe on the podcast side, don't be afraid to throw us a subscription on the YouTube side. It really does help fund the show. This is something that we love doing. We enjoy doing it, but it's an expensive hobby and it helps us keep the lights on. So we appreciate your support all the way around. Thank you so much. And I know I speak for Rob when I say that we love hearing from you guys. We appreciate you very much. And we absolutely could not do any of this stuff without you certainly being behind us and making sure that we have stuff to talk about. And, I love getting the questions, and you can see I've got my X handle there at Callahan on Air, although I'm spending a lot more time over at Blue Sky, and it's at Tom Talks. I feel like hockey Twitter's migrating to Blue Sky right now, and it's been pretty good. Good discussion, good questions, good vibes. So I'm digging it. But at Tom Talks over at Blue Sky. So we will end up talking to you here potentially after the Saturday night game. Might be able to drop a show there, a little bonus episode on the weekend. I know if you're listening to this on a Friday, I hope you're going to have a great weekend for yourself going into it. And Utah's back at it Saturday against Pittsburgh Penguins, then Sunday against the Leafs, Tuesday against Montreal, and that's going to wrap up the road trip. So keep that in mind as well. So give us a like, a follow, subscribe. We appreciate you all being a part of things here. And thanks for making us your first listen every single day when it comes to the Utah Hockey Club, and for sticking with us. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap it up. Thank you, and we'll talk to you next time. This has been the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast.